You're invited to join our exclusive monthly webinar brought to you by the Business of Aesthetics community. Don't let this chance slip through your fingers. Secure your spot now for a game-changing experience. Register for free on our homepage at www.businessaesthetics.org and get set to transform your strategies.
Are you looking to expand your aesthetic practice and attract high-quality new patients? Discover the power of digital marketing in growing your practice with a personalized strategy session. Join Ryan Davies, Equa's Marketing Director, for an exclusive 90-minute meeting. Ryan and his team will invest hours prior to your session, crafting a customized marketing plan tailored specifically for your practice. This invaluable opportunity comes at no cost to you, with no commitments attached. Schedule your meeting with Ryan today by visiting www.businessaesthetics.org/MSM and take the first step towards transforming your practice with the potential of digital marketing.
Before we dive into our main topic, let's kickstart your day with a 3-minute marketing tip.
Hi, I'm Ryan Davies, Digital Marketing Advisor with Equa Marketing, here with another marketing tip for the Business of Aesthetics community. One of the big questions I always get, or one of the big areas of focus, is what's the difference between SEO and Google Ads? And which one is more effective? What should I be relying on? And is there a way to leverage both? Should I be leveraging both? How do I spend my time on it? It is quite a loaded question. So really, when you break it down, what it comes down to is when you are running Google SEO and you are optimizing, so search engine optimization, when you're really focused on that, that is something that you have for the long haul. It is a marathon, but you have that for new patients to find you and choose you for perpetuity, as long as you continue to keep it up with new information, new photos, and you're doing the right things with your website and your online presence. When you're talking about a Google ad campaign, it is a short-term thing, or at least it should be. I see all too often practices that rely on that as their month-over-month source of obtaining new patients. They are incredibly time-consumptive as well as heavy in cost. So you really do need an area of expertise around running an ad campaign as well, to make sure that you are doing a targeted audience with the right messaging, with the right offer typically. And the reason for that is when you buy a Google ad, people don't have the trust they do with the SEO results. So while people are doing a Google search result, one ad comes up, one organic result comes up at the top of the rankings right below it, the majority of people are going to go down to that organic result. And Google has trained us to know that you can buy an ad at the top. It doesn't, anybody can do that. It just takes money really to be able to do it. But there's no trust really built into that. Whereas the organic result is really the result of your efforts over time to really showcase what you do, have a Google-friendly website, a patient-friendly website that checks all of the report card boxes in terms of performance, SEO, best practices, NAP consistency, quality backlinks, Google reviews, all of these things that are all important to Google. And we know that that site can be trusted. As a result, you're going to get 6 times the amount of their attention when you actually get that lead to click on your site. In addition, patients don't have that feeling of being sold to, and you don't need to give them an offer. And an ad, typically that's what it is. An advertisement should be around something special, or a special discount or something like that, which really not only now is raising your cost for the ad, but lowering your ROI for the service that they end up booking as a result of it.
You are listening to another episode of the Business of Aesthetic podcast series, brought to you by our gold sponsor, Equa Marketing. If you would like to network and share your experience with our podcast guests and other aesthetic industry professionals, join our Facebook or LinkedIn communities by searching for Business of Aesthetics. Prepare to be inspired as we introduce Ryan Davies, an esteemed professional and seasoned digital marketing advisor at Equa.com, renowned for his expertise in sales and marketing psychology. Ryan possesses a wealth of experience collaborating with companies and political campaigns. He profoundly understands the intricacies of consumer behavior and how it influences purchasing decisions. As a certified Sandler sales and challenger expert, He brings a unique perspective, employing innovative sales techniques that drive tangible results. Without further ado, let's dive in.
Welcome to another captivating installment of the Business of Aesthetics podcast. I'm Ryan Davies, your co-host at the heart of the Business of Aesthetics community and podcast. Before we immerse ourselves in the riches of today's episode, I want to express my profound gratitude to all of you, our incredible listeners from across the United States and all corners of the globe. It is your willingness to embrace this podcast and share it, and your invaluable insights and experiences that have collectively transformed our community into the thriving epicenter of wisdom and innovation that it is today. Your unwavering dedication is the cornerstone of our success, and we can't thank you enough. With that, let's jump right into today's main topic, unlocking growth, the power of CMS systems in aesthetics. With that, we have an incredible guest. As always, we always tee up the best for you here. Shannon Sebrin, thank you so much for joining us here today. I can't wait to dive in on this one. As I said when we started, I'm a tech nerd. I understand the whole idea of how tech can empower, create efficiencies, unlock revenue. I can't wait to dive in with you on this one. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks, Ryan. Excited to be here.
I'm going to give a little bit of a background on Shannon for our audience. She's the co-founder of Cloud Med Spas, very much an advocate of the entrepreneurial way, very passionate about empowering others. Shannon leads sales and client support teams with a strategic focus on achieving quantifiable outcomes and identifying things like market inefficiencies and implementing effective solutions that are going to set them apart and unlock their next level through partnerships and elevating brand awareness and driving profitable outcomes. It's really a commitment to fostering success for team and clients that she is focused on. And CMS systems, what a great way to kind of bridge into that, because that's really what we want to cover here. But Shannon, maybe give us a little bit of a background here as well, your journey in the aesthetics industry, what led you to co-found Cloud Med Spas, and your interest in this particular topic, of course.
Sure. I spent many years consulting primarily in the dermatology space, private practices, helping increase the efficiencies and flow of these practices, integrating aesthetic into practices that were traditional medical derm, and really trying to find solutions to problems that physicians and owners didn't have the time for, or they didn't have staff invested in that opportunity at their practice. So I really loved that, finding solutions to problems in a space that seemed to be sort of running on, the same hamster wheel year over year. And not really, contemplating how can we do this business better? How can we service our clients better? How do we improve our P&L? And so I spent a lot of years consulting and working with private practice owners in that space. I was introduced to the founder of Cloud Med Spas, Iggy Fanlo, a little over 4 years ago. And it took off since then. And Cloud Med Spas was initially a brick and mortar shared space business. And in the last year and a half, we evolved it into a SaaS platform, which is what we're going to talk about today.
Incredible. So yeah, let's dive right into that a little bit more here about, again, what are CMS systems and how has Cloud Med Spas really started to kind of, again, be able to help shape a new, like you said, getting off the hamster wheel in this industry and unlocking the potential that technology can provide?
Sure. So what solution we're bringing to our clients is what we've actually been implementing for over 4 years at our original flagship locations. We have 2 flagship locations where we have been implementing what we are preaching and offering through our software. So at those flagship locations, they are and still are initially shared space opportunities for independent aesthetic injectors, practitioners. They come to the space, they rent by the hour, they have access to prescription product, devices. They only pay for the time when they're in the space. So we reduce their overhead, we reduce the risk for them to access the aesthetic space. We give them support, training, education, access to all of that so they can thrive and grow their business and be accountable for their growth. And those locations have taken off. So we figured rather than scale from a brick and mortar standpoint, we can actually offer this opportunity. And we all know, especially post-pandemic, real estate has become quite I could say vacant, underutilized, especially since the pandemic. And so we found a lot of people in the healthcare space, outside the healthcare space even, seeking with, opportunities, solutions with what to do with their underutilized space. If a physician in a private practice had 8 exam rooms and 4 of them were being underutilized or not used at all, if a dentist practice, a plastic surgery practice, and even med spas found themselves in a space where they had their biggest asset, their real estate, that wasn't being utilized to its utmost potential. And so Cloud Med Spas allows those clients to tap into an additional revenue opportunity, leverage that space by offering it to independent aesthetic practitioners from a rental model. So it's not dissimilar from an Airbnb. You have that spare bedroom, the extra guest bedroom. Maybe you want to rent it out, the ADU in the backyard, gain some extra money. It's not dissimilar from that. But what it was doing for our clients was it wasn't incurring additional liability for the owner of the space. It was generating another revenue stream, and it was bringing more foot traffic potentially for more clients for the specialty of that existing practice as well.
So let's dive in a little bit about what specifically, problems can be solved with, again, whether it's Cloud Med Spas or something similar, to be able to, again, as you mentioned, streamline and use technology to the advantage of aesthetic practitioners, so that they can, again, unlock more potential in what they're doing, find the efficiencies that are there. I know that, again, there's the big bullet points, but maybe we'll run down a few of them and some of the problems that you see that are occurring and what, various technologies, including yours, bring to the table in terms of, again, scheduling, inventory management, payments and processing, all of those types of things. So I'm going to turn over to you here, and again, we'll bullet point some of these down. But I'd love to get your feedback on the problems that can be solved.
Yeah, no, and we incorporate all of those under our software platform. Most importantly is the data we have gathered from our own flagship locations, that when practitioners are independent aesthetic practitioners using these spaces, they are not using them 40 hours a week. They're being very efficient with their time. They're making much more money in a short period of time. They're controlling their schedule and their profitability. And so when you have 3 exam rooms in a practice, you can actually have 20, 30 different renters accessing those 3 exam rooms. So the algorithm that we use to understand what our clients have as far as what is their capability of revenue potential at their location is backing into their space and understanding, do you have rooms 3 days a week? Do you have rooms 5 days a week? How many hours a week would those rooms be available? How many hours a day? And we back in and understand what is the total utilization over the course of a month. And we sort of see how many potential practitioners, how many hours, rental hours can be generated based on your utilization in the space. And in that way, our clients, our prospective clients, get a very clear understanding of sort of the revenue ceiling they have with implementing the Cloud Med Spa. Is it an additional $3,000 a month if they have 1 or 2 rooms? Is it an additional $15,000 a month given where they can max out with the access and utilization to space? What we know is that practitioners are looking for this opportunity. There are many things that have happened in the industry over the past few years that support independent entrepreneurial use of space. And one of those is the Sola Salon Suites, the Phoenix Suites, the independent beauty franchise that has taken off with housing people in the beauty space into their own real estate. And so people ideally want to be able to control when they work, how they work, their pricing, their margins, everything. What's different with the Cloud Med Spa models is a practitioner at a Cloud Med Spa space clearly is getting access to a medical professional space that they can work within. They're only paying for the time they're there. They're getting access to great prescription product rates. So their margins are really reflective on those product rates. And what we looked in the beginning when we were starting out was the networking opportunity that practitioners at Cloud Med Spas get. So when you have 15, 20 practitioners at one location, their opportunity to be around like-minded people, sharing information, how their business is, the flow is working, sharing business ideas. Everyone's getting access to ongoing training and education. The less experienced practitioners are supporting the more experienced practitioners. Meanwhile, the owner of the location is just earning revenue when people are in their space, right? So there is so much opportunity for everyone to win in this space and to support this movement of entrepreneurship that we are seeing. So one of the biggest epidemics in this med spa for plastic surgeons who have injector employees is the high rate of turnover of employees. Mm-hmm. And owners are constantly struggling with how to retain employees, because when an employee leaves, typically patients leave with them. And so we've seen this recent news about non-competes now, being shut down nationally, and everyone's in, panic mode. How do I control my employees? How do I control my business model?
Right.
When you think about it, if that's your business model, how can I control people? That's not a good business model. It doesn't work, right? If you are working on the defense or reactive in fear, that doesn't work. So we always like to enlighten, obviously, having conversations like this. There are smarter ways always coming to the table with how to run your business. There are smarter ways with ways to diversify the revenue in your business. Be open to those. Be open to pivoting. Technology is always changing things.
And I think, this solution that we're talking about here, and this idea, again, very different from a traditional model. It allows people from really all stages to be able to maximize their potential. And I know our audience has a lot of we have people here who are, I'm interested in starting in aesthetics and I don't know where to start, or mm-hmm. I'm just done my training and I don't know where to go next. Mm-hmm. Or again, as you mentioned, I'm well established, but I'm not maximizing my potential. So maybe touch on that for us a little bit in terms of, each of the different stages that you see and mm-hmm. how people can be very, I guess, enabled and empowered by the system that you've put together here.
Sure. Our primary client with the Cloud Med Spa software is really the owner of the space or the potential practitioner who sees themselves as potentially opening or having their own space and having additional rooms that they can rent out. However, we do see a large influx of practitioners reaching out to us, also saying, I want access to a Cloud Med Spa location. Which of your locations would be a fit for me based on where I live? How does this work for me? So we are willing to obviously take interest from wherever it comes from. The market, as we're growing, the huge void in the marketplace that we are seeing and that our locations are fulfilling is the opportunity to break into aesthetics. What we all know is that this space year over year grows exponentially. More people are getting procedures. Obviously, the demographic of who's getting procedures is, 20 years ago, it was the 40-year-old, 50-year-old housewife. Now it's a 20-year-old, and now it's men. So the demand for the procedures is growing. The demand for more practitioners to be implementing the procedures is growing, but the opportunity for the aesthetic practitioners to get hired, to start their business and to start going is not there. So the amount of practitioners primarily, and when I say practitioners, it's primarily RNs and NPs that come to us and say, I've been looking to get hired for 3 years and no one will hire me because I don't have the experience. That is a huge void in the marketplace. So that's where they come to a Cloud Med Spa. They can start building this, assuming this is a motivated, person who is capable of starting their business. But what they don't have at a Cloud Med Spa is they don't have the overhead costs. They're not committed to a monthly lease. They only pay for the time when they're there. They get access to preceptorship, mentorship from more experienced practitioners that they're now surrounded by in the same space. And they get all of that support to grow and start their business. From the ground up. So you're putting them in the control seat as opposed to them waiting for some opportunity to become available. And so we are empowering practitioners that way. We realize there's a void in the marketplace for those opportunities. And it's really exciting to see, sort of those, how experienced practitioners can also benefit from helping the influx of new practitioners who are entering the space. We see a lot of experienced practitioners pivoting from just injecting, doing procedures to now becoming full-time trainers and mentors.
And we touched on it a little bit earlier in terms of the specific problems that you see in the aesthetics industry, and that, they're not enabling various, again, whether it's various technologies or various, systems that are in place to be able to, to get away from that drain that's causing on both personal time and revenue. And, it just continues down. Touch on those a little bit of what you see in the industry for us in terms of some of the biggest problems that you're seeing around. Again, is it inventory management? Is it vendor management? Is it time? Is it all of them? Right. And what, just kind of run the list for us there of what you see.
Good point. I think it's a little bit of everything. What we're seeing as owners of aesthetic businesses are really struggling with those overhead costs, right? As technology changes, you have to buy the next new flashy device. You've always got device reps knocking down your door. As you're trying to achieve the most competitive injectable prescription product prices, so you're buying a lot of bulk product in advance of the usage of those procedures in your practice. So you're carrying a lot of overhead. And then you're also carrying salaries of the employees and the injectors in your space, in addition to the marketing costs you have to apply to keep those employees busy, who are going to be the patients and the clients coming in. So your employees are busy. So I think all of this overhead is often overlooked. We see a lot of clients coming to us saying, I'm fully in the red. I didn't know getting into this business was going to require me to take out $1 million bank loan and take on all of this risk and overhead. And I'm constantly investing forward and trying to earn back. And with Cloud Med Spas, now our clients are scaling. If they want to open a second location, don't think of it in the traditional way of how much money you have to invest. Think of doing a Cloud Med Spa model as your second location. It's your brand. And instead of hiring all the employees, instead of buying all the product and devices, that's where Cloud Med Spa comes in. You're getting access to our product at our corporate rates without having a closet and inventory full of product at your location. You're only buying what is being used by the practitioners that week. And so your overhead goes away, your marketing costs for client acquisition goes away, because practitioners in your space are responsible for their own business growth. That's their one thing. They come to your location, you are basically outfitting them with everything they need to thrive. The one thing they need to do is control, manage their own business, which is the client side. And so at the same time, everyone's has responsibilities, but everyone has the potential to win from this model. So, we've seen it work in a lot of different startups that have done very well over the past few years, as far as putting people in the control seat and empowering them to obviously control their destiny, their outcome, giving them the flexibility of when they work, how much they work, and their profitability.
I think that's, again, it really helps with that scalability, what phase you're at, what stage of your career you're at, what you're in for, all of that sort of side of things as well. And I think one of the biggest problems we always see in this space, which you touched on there, is around, capital cost of technologies, being able to handle expansion and things like that. Again, maybe that pitfall that you see for new aesthetics owners, are you seeing common trends in terms of over leveraging and things along those lines that need rectification in the industry, which is part of what you're providing?
Definitely. And then, as you know, there's a lot of opportunities out there these days where customer service is completely disconnected. Everyone wants to sell a product, but the support from the client side just isn't there anymore. We're all craving to deal with a human being, right? And that's what we love about our platform as well, is this is an ongoing collaboration. We don't win unless our clients do well and thrive. So this is a true collaboration. We're not just selling a platform and, crossing our fingers and saying, good luck, I hope this works for you. We are working with our clients every week, every month, to make sure their locations thrive, to make sure their practitioner acquisition is healthy and robust. And so every step of the way is supported via Cloud Med Spas. And so there's never a process in place where clients come to us and say, I don't know what to do next. How do I get, how am I not driving more revenue at my location? So we have been doing this for almost 5 years. And so it's tried and true. The data we have from our existing locations is just beyond helpful when we now can take on clients and help them implement this in their spaces. And when we see them taking on this, diversifying their revenue and taking on this additional revenue, which is now subsidizing a lot of their overhead costs, whether it be their lease payment, their mortgage payment, a couple salaries at their location. It's really great to see, especially traditional medical practices who are really struggling with overhead costs that are not fluctuating, whether it be insurance margins, high real estate costs, and to bring a solution to the table that helps alleviate the cost of running a business these days in medicine is extremely high. And so what smart ways can we go about to obviously alleviate those pain points?
And I think this also covers something else we see in the industry that I'd love for you to touch on is, patient loyalty to a practitioner specifically over a banner or over being able to jump from practitioner to practitioner while still creating, like you said, networking within the same site to be able to cross-sell into other areas that maybe you don't cover, but someone else does, or people covering into you. So you can be a holistic provider without needing to take on the world. I'm assuming you see that a lot in the industry in terms of, that loyalty not being there anymore and this being a way to kind of enable that and kind of empower it back.
Yes, exactly. And there's obviously two types of patients out there. There's the patient that's looking for the cheapest opportunity. And then there's the patient that is loyal to their practitioner. And I think that I actually think that's the majority. It's supported in the hair care space. People have these long-term relationships with their hairstylists. If the hairstylist moves, you just pivot and drive a little further in a different direction to wherever your hairstylist is. And so hair salons have been renting chairs for a long time. They have realized that the relationship between the client is not between the owner of the space and them. It's between the hairstylist and their client. And so they figured this out a long time ago. And so that's sort of what we realized in our flagship locations is that's where the relationship resides. So when you're an employee and as an injector and you realize you could have higher margins, you own this relationship, but you just don't know where to start. Where do I go? What costs do I take on? That is where Cloud Med Spas is a solution for those practitioners. And it's a solution for the owner of the space too, to pivot. Instead of having 3 injector employees, you could have 30 renters of your space, and you're no longer taking on all these high overhead costs. So it's just a smarter way of doing business. It's pivoting in the direction of entrepreneurship. That's where we see the market going. And we want to support that.
I was going to say, just as we're kind of wrapping up here towards the end, I want to touch on exactly that point next. Perfect feed in for me is where's the future of the market going, right? I think we see, and I bring this up all of the time, is in aesthetics, it's kind of becoming more commoditized. It's changing in terms of just the number, but also the quality and all of that. I remember, when I was younger, my mom wanted to go to the nail salon. You went to a specific nail place, and then every mall had 3. And then if you wanted a massage, you went to a massage therapist. Then every mall had people setting up benches in the middle of the mall. And it's kind of getting like that with some of the aesthetic treatments around injectables and a few others that you're seeing, where it's like, well, I could literally have someone pull up in a van to my house and do it, or whatever else it is, right? It's a very different pivot for the industry we're seeing. So talk to us about that as we kind of close off here, where you see the future going and how this is going to be that kind of, I think, a great segue for people to be able to get everything they're looking for out of the industry.
Yeah, well, I think that comes back to it should be the accountability of the person who's providing the service to really maintain those relationships, right? Because if you do have a patient that likes to hop around and jump around for convenience, you yourself, it is the value of the practitioner that can retain those patients. At the end of the day, these are procedures they're non-invasive, but they are needles in your face. So it's a little different than having the paint color on your nail. be changed, right? So it's a little bit more intrinsic. And when it's not done well, we all know the repercussions. So we do see the value of that relationship really holding heavy ground. And the other thing as more practitioners enter the space, it doesn't mean more practitioners are capable of investing and buying all the tools and resources necessary to thrive. So it's exciting when we have clients come on board that say, I've got 3 devices. That's exciting for me because now the more practitioners that can get access to those devices, provide those procedures, not just be injectors, but can diversify their portfolio of offerings without going and buying a 6-figure device. Let's share these resources, right? Everyone wins. Let's not put a device in every location. Let's share these resources. And that's where everyone can win, decrease the cost of entry into this space, and increase opportunity for people to own their own outcome as well.
I love that. Yeah, it increases everybody's bottom line. You can pass some of that even on to the patients as well. So they are getting an incentive, right? Exactly. It's that win-win-win scenario that could take place here. With that, I mean, Shannon, we're going to have a lot of people that are likely reaching out here that want to learn more, that want to be driven to what you do. Give us the details on that so that we can get people connected with you or drive them to learn more about you for sure.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I can be contacted directly via phone 773-398-1999. And then my email is Shannon, SHANNON, at cloudmedspas. That's plural. Check out our website, cloudmedspas.com. Again, we're excited just to have the inquiry, the intro phone call. I think we treat every prospective client differently, specific to their space, their requirements. And it's important for you to understand how this fits specifically to your location and what your opportunity is. So we love to have those, just inquisitive conversations with potential clients.
Absolutely. I think it's a great way to streamline what you're doing, maximize, like you said, the unused and the potential. And then from the flip side of that as well, if you're somebody who's new to the industry that's looking to get started, that wants to be a little more risk adverse or needs that guidance to kind of level up and ramp up. We see it in so many other things, like in dental practices and things like that, right? You come in, you be an associate, then you branch out, and you see in all of these other industries where you do it. But here it kind of, a lot of times it just goes, I'm going 0 to 60 and I'm jumping in, and then they fail. The fail rate is so high in the first 3 years. And these are great ideas to be able to, and a great system to be able to mitigate disaster really and empower the industry in a different way. And I love that we are able to bring that to our audience today as a way to do something outside the box, teach them how to see a new way and to maximize, no matter where you are in the aesthetics journey, maximize your potential and your bottom line. So Shannon Sebrin, thank you so much for joining us here today, taking us through your journey, telling us about all of the possibilities that are out there and a new angle, honestly, I think a brand new angle on the industry for many of our listeners to be able to understand and appreciate. So thank you so much for spending your time with us here today. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it.
Excellent. And of course, I got to take a moment to thank our listeners. We appreciate each and every one of you. We can't do what we do without you. So if you like our podcast, as always, the same request, please kindly share it with your friends, your colleagues, share it on social media. And please don't forget to rate a review wherever you listen, iTunes, Google Play, whatever it is. It's those thoughts and those reviews that are going to help other doctors and practice owners find us, become empowered, and bring you more incredible guests like our guest, Shannon Sebrin, today. So with that, until we meet again, I wish everybody an amazing week ahead. Thank you so much and take care.
Thank you for joining us this week on the Business of Aesthetic podcast series brought to you by our gold sponsor, Equa Marketing. Would you like to join our growing group of aesthetic industry experts and get featured on the Business of Aesthetics podcast? Or do you know someone who would love to share their strategies for growth in the aesthetic business, providing quality patient care or their clinical expertise? Head over to www.businessaesthetics.org/podcast show and apply to be featured as a guest on the show. Remember to subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Amazon Music, or wherever you listen. If you would like to engage with today's speakers or any of our past speakers, join our Facebook group or LinkedIn group by searching for Business of Aesthetics. Thank you and have a great day.